Hello gardening fans, and welcome to Marvin Gardens 2015 October. And it's a lovely evening this evening in October. In fact, although we've had a couple of very hard frosts, not quite a hard freeze, but very heavy frosts, the temperature is very mild and is going to continue to be mild. So we are sort of in the middle of Indian summer. But as you can see from the ground here, we are definitely in a fall kind of way. All the marigolds have pretty much given up the ghost, and so has almost everything else in the garden. But here's Jessie. She's sniffing around. She's got a jack-o'-lantern scarfie on, but I can't see it very well. I think Frankie shows up a little bit better if I can get him from his sniffing activity. Oh, he thinks he's into a rodent. What'd you find, boy? Anyway, can you see the pumpkin scarfie? That's what we feature in October around here. And there's some pumpkin guts. More about that later. The water feature is still going, and there's a frog in there someplace. I just heard him jump in just a second ago. He's going to have to find a better place, though, when it starts getting cold. Anyway, chives are still happening, as chives are known to do. Well beyond the first frost, they have no problem with that. But here, the rest of bed one, which used to be corn, all completely done for. And so is the throwaway bed. We got some work to do here to clean up the pet memorial area. But anyway, yeah, bed one, all done for. So is bed two, except for, the frost came through and pretty much obliterated everything. But surprisingly enough, these artichokes were just not phased at all by the frost for some reason. Now, we didn't get any artichokes, no buds, no nothing. Even if you look way down there, there's not even small buds. But somebody commented that artichokes can be 2-year vegetables. So you can see the hay that I've put around here. I'm going to kind of heavily hay mulch them as the weather gets colder, and we'll see if they come back next spring. Who knows? Maybe they'll come back, and maybe they'll produce some artichokes in the second year. At least we had a couple of plants that looked healthy, even though they were, for the most part, smothered by the tomatoes, which used to be here and are no longer here. I even managed to get down all the tomato cages and the bean trellises and all the garden structures, so that's pretty good. And that brings us to bed number 3, which used to be onions and potatoes, but look what it is now. We got ourselves a real fall garden, which I haven't had in a long time, one that's really producing. This is lettuce in the first row. This is a row of cauliflower, a red cauliflower. Now, I don't know if they're going to form some heads before the really cold weather sets in, but they look pretty healthy anyway. This is a row of broccoli, and then this is a mixed row, and you can see that we have a very nice cabbage head coming up here, followed directly by a very nice broccoli head. And then these plants on the end here are cauliflower, but they haven't really started to do anything yet, so we'll see what happens with them. And then the row beyond it is spinach, and the spinach is still looking pretty good. It doesn't care about the frost and the cold weather. Look at this deep, rich green color. So we'll be harvesting some of that. We also have a few peas. You can see a little pea right there. But they're sort of sparse, and even though they're blooming, I'm a little concerned that they might not produce much as a fall crop. But there's lots of blooms, so we will keep positive and keep an eye on them, and you know, the weather's so warm, maybe we'll get some peas out of this after all. So anyway, that whole bed is a pretty nice looking fall garden. I've also got aerial footage, and you'll probably see one of the passes of the over the garden. You'll see that just one area is green, and that's that area right there. This area is not. This is all the winter squash and the melons, but we do have a very fine winter squash harvest with pumpkins, and I've got them all inside on a table in the house, and I got a clip of that to show you, I'm sure. And then Jesse's standing where the pole beans used to be. We got a so-so season for pole beans. This was summer squash, and yeah, this is the time of year when you walk by the beds and say, well, this is what used to be here. These were the potatoes, the sweet potatoes, which just were devastated by rodents this year, so nothing really to even show you on that count. And this was leeks and also the loofah gourds. Now I do have a single loofah gourd that's hanging out back on the back deck, and you have to peel them and dry them, and that's what that one's doing. So we'll see how that turns out. I've got a few more if that one works right. And then when I cleared everything away, I remembered that I had a row of beets underneath the overgrown tomatoes and loofah gourds, and they're still okay. They don't mind the cold weather, so we'll pull them a little bit later. But this, what you're seeing there, is the remnants of the chef's orange tomatoes. And there was another bed of sweet potatoes here that was equally devastated by rodents. And we got a pretty good crop of carrots, and that's about it. So not much to show you anymore except for has-beens. Now there's a nice fiery red oak out there. Pretty nice this time of year. But the greater pumpkin patch is vacant, and our one great pumpkin turned out to not be so great after all. He kind of gave up the ghost, and I got a few pumpkin seeds out of it, but that's about it. So kind of a disappointing giant pumpkin season, that's for sure. Now we did have, now I haven't got anything to show you out in the orchard, but Vanina and I harvested many pounds of Red Delicious apples, Granny Smith apples, and at least 40 pounds worth of crab apples, and what we think might be a cross between crab apples and yellow apples. They're about this big around instead of this big around, and they're yellow and they're relatively sweet. But so anyway, we got and I don't even know how many pounds of apples we have, but I've never had a harvest like that before. They're just great, and of course we're harvesting and munching on them at the same time, and they were just delicious. So we'll be making lots of pies, and they keep very well in the refrigerator, so that's good too. Now, also, very good squash and pumpkin harvest. Like I said, I don't know if I already showed you the shot of them all sitting in on the table downstairs, but Vanina also made an amazing carrot and squash soup that is just, it's so autumn and it's so hearty and so comfort food. It's just amazing, and I'm having that for dinner tonight. Had several bowls of it last night. It's just great stuff. So it's dark enough out here that the lights have come on the mini bar, the spotlights, and they're kind of lighting things up, even though it never looks very dark on the video because it kind of compensates. And the Franklin boy He's been rodent hunting for quite some time. He's excavated amazing amounts of dirt, and the truth were known, he actually found one. Usually he just finds rodent scents, but he got his teeth on one, and that rodent is no more. So that was pretty good. It didn't bite him though, so we're okay. Jessie is about ready to go inside, although I'm enjoying herself out here, and it's so warm and nice. It's so warm and nice that I'm just babbling and walking around and shooting things. So what else do I have to tell you about? Oh my goodness. Let me see if I can get this. I'm going to go past the driveway in a second here. Hang on. Isn't that fun? And I think you could probably hear the clip clop as well. I'm sure it's a hayride of some sort, although it didn't look like the cart was inhabited as it was going by. But those are some of those nice fun things that happen out here in the country, and it's pretty much the country out here, even though amazingly enough we're only an hour away from Midtown Manhattan. So, but that has nothing to do with gardening, does it? No, it doesn't really. But that is going to do it for us on this warm, calm, lovely October, well, you know, truth in advertising, it's October 32nd. Okay, it's November 1st. But this is the October Marvin Gardens video, and it's practically still October. Halloween was last night. The time change just happened. The sun is pretty much dipped below the horizon, I think. But the birds are still singing. And it's nice and warm outside, and we're having a lovely time in the garden. And we had a great garden this year. Some issues, but all in all, a pretty good harvest all around. And that's about it, I guess. So you can see what a difference a month makes in the way things look around here. Pretty empty, but we got a nice fall garden going right there, and we're still having a pretty good gardening season. So we will speak again next month when it will be November, and we got big travel plans in November. We're going to go down and visit the Floridians. So I don't know if we'll do the garden video before that or after that, but in any event, next month is November, and this is October Marvin Gardens, or Marvin Gardens, depending on where you're from, 2015. And as usual, I'm just sort of rambling along, having a great old time at your expense. So we'll see you next month in Marvin Gardens, November 2015. And for now, good night, y'all. Right, Jessie? What a good girl. Here comes the Franklin. Mr. Nose. Mr. Nose, don't nose the lens, boy. Hear that birdie? What's that birdie? Good boy. Happy fall, y'all.